What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of me doing random stuff with my Tacoma. Today's pretty cool. We're doing my very first mod, so it should be interesting. And we're getting into installation, unboxing, and reviewing, probably not in that order, of the TRD Pro Grill from Toyota Pro Shop. So if you're into that, stay tuned. Other than that, let's get into it. All right, while we're unboxing, why don't we talk price real quick? So this is the 3rd gen Tacoma TRD Pro Grill with Raptor LED kit. So this usually runs about $279.99, but right now Toyota Pro Shop is having a sale, so it is about $249.99 before tax and shipping like that. This comes with the Garnish, the 4 Raptor lights, and it gets the black lettering as displayed here. So now we got that out of the way, let's get into tools. Alright, so you're going to need a socket wrench and a hex-shaped socket to remove 2 of the 8 access points that are holding on your grill. So once you have your socket wrench, you're going to need a flathead screwdriver to pop out the remaining 6 points that are holding the grill together. And then you're going to need some needle nose pliers to kind of pinch some things that you can pretty much pinch with your hands, but just in case you don't have that grip strength, this is really helpful for pinching out these 2 things that hold a TSS grill onto the car. And then last but not least, well, second to last but not least, you're going to need a Phillips screwdriver to unscrew the bolts that are holding your TSS, your OEM grill, onto the red garnish or whatever color garnish you have. And then, just for safety, you're going to need a blanket. And you want to make sure this blanket is soft because we're going to be using the blanket to kind of protect our grill while we transport it if you have a long distance to transport it, because if you're like me, you're pretty clumsy, and I actually did scratch the red part around my Tacoma, and that was pretty much a bummer. So I'm trying to prevent you guys from, having a bummer. So yeah, let's get into it. All right, so I wanted to bring you guys to the table because I wanted to show you something really cool. If you like me, get kind of paranoid about the placement of the letters, like how exactly the letters fall fit and if they're like straight, pretty much just straight. So cool thing about this is it actually has, put it for the camera if you guys can see it, it actually has like little ridges so that they just kind of fall into place on each letter. And if you don't know, if you could see this, I don't know if you can see it, but they have numbers on each of the letters. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, if I counted correctly. And basically it tells you which letter goes in which position, just in case you can't spell. So I really like that. It seems pretty sturdy and in place, and once I screw that on, it's gonna be pretty solid. The TSS garnish, I actually have to remove this piece, and I didn't want to do it earlier because I wanted to show you guys it here, right here. But it basically has these stoppers right here and these clips right here. And if you flip it around, am I gonna regret flipping this around? Kind of regret flipping it around. Uh-oh. There we go. Come on, number. And if we flip it around, it shows exactly where the garnish should go, which is really cool and makes it super easy. As far as the quality goes of this TRD Pro Grill, I am really happy with this black. This black is really nice. It looks really good in the sunlight. And it should look really good on the truck. I did go with the black on black, but yeah, it looks really good. They do have some little bit of imperfections that I can't find it right here, but I mean, for those of you who built like Gundam models back in the day, all you have to do is pretty much peel it off and it comes off. So it's not that much of a big deal, but as far as quality goes, it's pretty solid. I wouldn't feel weird about like running this through the car wash or kind of like scrubbing through it. Just overall pretty happy with the product, better than I expected. I was kind of worried while I was waiting to make this video because I was like, oh no, what if I chose the wrong color? Because a lot of people go with the OEM grill, but this black on black grill looks too sick. I'm gonna actually put these on. So yeah, one thing I didn't realize is that these are actually 2 pieces instead of 1 piece. So this Y pulls off into 2 pieces, but that shouldn't be a big deal because these screws on the back should lock those in place. I am kind of concerned about like water sealing and stuff like that, but since it's plastic and it's easy to remove, I don't really see it being too much of an issue. If anything, maybe I'll put like some Loctite, or I would hate to put silicone on this because it would just kind of like glisten. Okay, so now that these are in place, I'm gonna go ahead and get them screwed on with these bolts that came with it. So let me get into that, and I'll see you in a second. Now that we're done looking over the grill, it's time for step number 3, assembling the grill lettering. This step is pretty simple. All you gotta do is flip over the grill like I do here and screw in the letters into the right position. Each letter is indicated with a number on the back, and you want to make sure not to switch them around because they don't fit as snug when you do switch them around, so you'll know right away if you're wrong. I'm pretty sure this was made for by design. And another thing to be careful about is that you don't want to over tighten your bolts, otherwise you're going to have to go over it with Loctite, and that's just an extra step that you don't want to do. So yeah, be careful. Alright, so let's check out the lettering. I think it turned out pretty good. So, ta-da! So, to remove the grill, you're going to want to use a 10mm ratchet wrench right here and right here. So in relation to your switch, it's just directly to your left and then directly to your right. And then once you do that, you're going to have to use a flathead. Why isn't this focusing? You want to use your flathead screwdriver to pop these out. You could kind of just pull them out too if you don't even really need a screwdriver. And there's 2 right here. So in relation to this, you just want to follow this, and then you will find it at the very end of it on both sides. And then down here we have 4 more pop-out points. Can't really see it well, but there's 1 right here, 1 right beneath this wire right here, 1 on the other side of the wire, and then there's your last one right there. And then once we do that, we should be good to go. 2 screws. So up next, we actually have to remove this wiring. So this is a pinch and push. So basically you're going to pinch this and push this through. You could pinch it with your hand, or you could use pliers if you want to, but basically it comes out pretty easily. And this one actually is the same. It's a little brown. I don't know if you can see that it's brown, but if it's brown, it's like right along this little thing. You need to push that out so the wire is loose so that it's not connected to the TSS. So let me get that out real quick. But real quick, let me show you this part. Basically, this part's pretty hard to get out. What you want to do is you want to push on this until it clicks, and then you could kind of pull it out, but you're gonna need 2 hands to do that. So let me put you down real quick. 2 hands for this. You need 2 hands for this, guys. There we go. And then when they detach, we already got this on another video, so cool. So now that you got all the points removed, you got the brown part out, the white part push pin out, all 6 points, and then the 2 screws, you're going to be ready to remove. Okay, so we are back and we have the grill, and make sure to use some sort of blanket, some microfiber blanket, at least so you don't scratch the paint on your brand new Tacoma or your 3rd gen Tacoma. Alright, so this is probably not a good point of reference, but basically all these screws that are still on here, except for these 2, these screws stay on because this hooks the red plastic part onto the black plastic right here. And then the actual grill, back up a little bit, the actual grill only hooks in with these things right here. So when you're removing all the nuts and bolts and screws and stuff, you want to just remove these inside, all the inside screws that you see here. So just go along the inner line that kind of outlines where the actual grill would end and not where the kind of like the front profile would be. So I know it's not really the same thing as showing you it on the OEM grill, but I think it is a good point of reference to look at the final product and see which screws stay in place and which don't. These 2 screws I end up screwing back on, but they honestly probably do nothing. This thing probably stays on just from these things right here. Alright, now that we're finished prepping our station and looking at the end product for reference, we are going to step number 6, which is replacing the OEM grill. Just looking back on this, I think it would be smarter to remove the TSS first, just so you could avoid any unnecessary accidents. So go ahead and skip ahead and do that, and go back to this point to kind of look at which screws you need to unscrew, which are all the inner screws closest to the grill. And then of course, once those screws are out, you are going to have to pinch in those clips and make sure it's able to be pulled out. So right here, this is exactly what I was talking about. I end up unscrewing all the inner screws and pinching out all the pinch clips, and then the TSS was stuck, which was a bonehead move. So try to avoid this. Now that we got that out of the way, it's time to remove the TSS garnish. You could do this by removing the dark gray screws like I did here, the 2 light gray screws both on the bottom and the top, start with the bottom first so you could unplug the electrical and then move on to the remaining silver screw right here. So this screw is kind of like the last screw holding things together. So just pinch them out like this, and then once this is removed, you're ready to pinch out the housing right here, and then you should be good to go. There you go. All right, so now that the OEM grill is removed, it's time to swap out the grills. So you basically just want to line up all the pins and then just kind of push it into place, and you should hear it pop like this. There we go. Yes, that looks good. Look at that. So now let's get into the garnish. Now that you got the grill swapped out, it's time to switch out the garnish. So to do this, there's 4 points of connection. At the top, there is like 2 little things that poke out that line it up, and then 2 pinch pins, which I'm messing around with here. So once you get the pinch pins pushed out, you want to push at the 2 obtrusions up top. On the right side, I had a pretty easier time doing it than the left side, so I ended up having to use a tool to kind of pound it out. I'd be very careful doing this because you don't want to break it, but you do need to get it out in some way. Okay, so I already removed this piece right here, which is on the other side of the garnish, and installed the garnish. So now that you're here, you want to install your garnish, which is right here. But one thing you want to do before you do this is you want to remove these, can you see these? These screws, or these washers along with these screws, which are, I'll put the picture of where they are on the OEM grill right here. And then you want to wedge these in so that they're washing up. So you basically just pop it in. Fits nice. Pop it in. That fits nice. Okay, so you got it looking like this. Okay, and then what you want to do is you want to orient this like so. So there's 2 little pins that stick out right here and here, and that kind of guides you where they have to be. Okay, so a lot of people might have issues with the TSS kind of not functioning. So I went ahead and bought washers to kind of fit with this. This is from Home Depot. This is not like a sponsored. The number 8 stainless steel Everbuilt washers. Make sure to get one that will fit with this right here because it does need to be a certain size. So I went with the number 8. From the research I did online, most people just needed 2. So I'm gonna go ahead and do 2 washers. And then I'm gonna lock this out. So let's see if I could do this a good way. So you're going to put your washers in, and then you're going to put your screw through, like so, and then you're going to just kind of like let that sit there like that. Okay. And then since these are already good, make sure these are all lined up, and then you want to screw your TSS in. I think one of these are misaligned. Make sure everything's lined up before you start screwing in. So yeah, hopefully with these 2 washers, this will be good. And if not, we'll just come back and we'll add another washer. I have about 12 of them. I doubt I'll need 12, but you never know. Now that everything is switched out and ready to go, it's time to put the grill back on. So what you want to do is you want to line up all the points here, and you basically just got to push the grill back in. Okay, so we're almost there. Now you just got to refasten everything you messed with in the beginning. So use your socket wrench to tighten the 2 screws. And then once you got the 2 screws tightened, you want to do the 6 pop-out points. So make sure to start with the front ones right here, and then move down to these last 4 over here. They're pretty hard to get, but they're pretty easy to reinstall. So just take your time and be very careful. And once you have these in place, we're going to do the housing again by basically pushing back up these white points and this brown point right here. This is to make sure that the TSS is secured, and once it is secured, you're gonna want to plug that last part back in until you hear it click. There's pretty much no way to mess this up because it's all kind of like molded in a way. So yeah, once you got that done, it's on. So yeah, it looks really good. My gosh. The one thing I will caution you guys is be careful when you're installing, because while taking this out, I accidentally scratched my car, and you know, it will not come off. That one's not coming off. Maybe it'll buff out. Maybe not. But I'll probably go over that with touch-up paint. It's not too much of a big deal. So that was the end of the install, and that was actually pretty fun. I'm not a licensed mechanic, so if you're not too tech savvy or mechanically inclined, I'd highly suggest going to a retailer or a mechanic, anybody that can help you out professionally, because I'm not professional. But I do like doing projects on the side. I hope you all found this video helpful. I think the grill turned out really nice. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment down below. And if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more just kind of truck videos. I like doing truck stuff, so we'll get into it. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.